Hi everyone and welcome to today's video. Today I wanted to do a really quick little overview of a pen that is really quite special to me and special to a lot of us pen users, and that is the Lamy 2000. This pen is iconic, it's a classic, and it's these things for a reason. Now today I'm not going to be reviewing this pen. I just wanted to do a little video explaining why this pen particularly is special to me, and I'm going to do a series of these over time of pens that are, I think, really remarkable. And particularly within this price range, this is not a hugely expensive pen. I'll go into more information and more detail when we shift camera angle. This pen is not a flashy pen. It's not a super expensive pen. It's a pen that has stood the test of time and it writes beautifully. For me, this is a pen that if I'm not sure about an ink, I put it in here, and if I'm still not sure about it, it's not an ink for me. This pen writes beautifully, it's wet, it's smooth, it allows for great saturation of the ink on the paper, and it's a really, really special pen. I love this design, I love the shape, I love how it feels in my hand, and I just think it is an absolute classic pen. And in the first of these individual pen videos, that's why I wanted to cover this one. So this is the Lamy 2000 in the Macrolon finish, medium nib. Let's have a look at it in some more detail. So here we have the Lamy 2000. As I said, this is one of my favourite pens, and it's a pen that gets a lot of use from me. It's almost always inked up, and when it's not inked up, it is drying, waiting to be inked up after being cleaned. So this is the Macrolon finish, and Macrolon is a material that is a combination of carbon fibre and resin, I believe. Please correct me if that is wrong in the comments. I'd like to know more about this pen as well. The design comes from the 1960s, and in a few years ago they celebrated the 50th anniversary of this pen by releasing a limited, well not limited, but a special edition. I think it was called the Black Amber, which was a sort of a similar to the stainless steel version of this pen, just a little bit sort of darker. And yeah, it's a really lovely pen. It's a function over form design, and it came about when the ballpoint pen was becoming a really popular option. And with its less flamboyant design, Lamy matched that with the Lamy 2000, and as it is a semi-hooded nib, it's actually a much less, I'll use the term again, flamboyant pen to use than, you know, a pen with a large nib. Also, there are a number of Parker pens and other brands, of course, who had either a hooded nib or a semi-hooded nib, so this ties in a lot with those design elements. The clip of this pen is great because it's spring-loaded, and it's got some of the only branding that you find on the pen, which is Lamy written there. And it's just a really lovely, simple, elegant design for a pen. The brushed finish is beautiful. The way that hides the seams of the piston knob and also some of the features on the section is really nice. I do also really love the ink window of this pen. It works beautifully. It doesn't tell you how much ink you have, but it lets you know if you've got any, and it gives you a fair idea. I'm not sure how well that's sort of being picked up in the camera there, but yeah, lovely little ink window band just there. These little notches on the side, or the little ears as some people call them, what help the pen cap, and I don't find them to be an issue. I find the grip of this pen to be really nice. It's smooth, there's no real step up, fits the hand beautifully. I have it in a medium nib. I'm really keen to get another one or two of these. I'd really like to see what the fine is like, or even the extra fine to use for my bullet journal. I think it'd be a fabulous pen for that, but I'd also love to get the double broad, which is slightly stubby, and I think that would be really nice. As a left-handed writer, I think that would be a really nice experience. I just really love this pen. I think it writes consistently, it writes beautifully. It's wet. It's a pen I try inks in. If an ink doesn't work in this pen, then I think there might be an issue with the ink. I know how this pen works for me. I know how it feels when it writes, and I will put any ink in this pen without too much of an issue. It is a piston filling pen. It has a capacity of 1.3 milliliters when full, which is a nice amount of ink. It's certainly more than almost every converter, but not quite as much as some of the other piston filling options that are around. But it's a smaller pen and with a smaller body than a lot of those as well. But it isn't a small pen. It's a fairly decent size, really. If we see it here in comparison to the Lamy Safari and the TWSBI Eco, you see that really it's a fairly sort of standard size pen. In fact, in comparison to the Lamy Safari, it's almost exactly the same length at around that 140mm mark. And even the grip section sort of is not dissimilar in width. Of course, the pen, the nib itself is a lot smaller, but that is one of the things that is one of the beautiful design elements of this Lamy 2000 pen. So let's see how this pen writes. I have it inked with Diamine Graphite, which is a nice ink. It's not one of my favourites, but one that I wanted to really give a bit of a proper try out. And as I said, this is a pen that I use for that. A bit of a hard start there. It's a medium. That hard start was probably a lot to do with the fact that this pen has a notorious sort of sweet spot, and I'm writing around, you know, tripods and all of that sort of thing, so I might not have had the pen properly aligned. It had also been uncapped, so there are multiple things. Anyone who's used one of these pens or seen them knows that they write incredibly consistently, and that is an unusual thing to have. So yeah, it's a nice sort of smooth pen. It's fairly wet. It's not the wettest pen I own, but it's consistent and smooth. And as I said, if I'm not sure about an ink, if I try it in another pen and it doesn't quite do it for me, or there's something not quite feeling right about it, I'll sometimes put it in this pen and just see if it was the ink or the pen, because not every pen writes well with every ink. My Diplomat Aero, for instance, if I put an ink like Autumn Oak in there, it just doesn't write nicely, whereas Autumn Oak in this pen is beautiful. In fact, inks like the Diamine inks work really well in this, because they are generally tend to be on the slightly wetter side, but without being lubricated, like say the Monteverde inks or even the Roshizuku inks, so that they don't need that. And this pen just keeps up so beautifully with every ink that I put in it. So this is the Lamy 2000, not necessarily a review, but just my thoughts on the pen. It's a beautiful pen. If you'd like to see a more in-depth review with sort of more stats and figures and put through a couple of other sort of tests, let me know. But yeah, this was the Lamy 2000 and one of my favourite pens. Hope you found this video interesting and useful. If you did, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. Hit the notifications button to stay up to date with the videos I produce, and please feel free to get in touch with me using any of the platforms listed below. Check me out on Instagram if you are on there. I am at the _offstage_me on Instagram, and yeah, love to hear from you and see what you are writing with. In the meantime, enjoy your pens, enjoy writing, and I'll talk to you later.